Okay. So in the last class, we have seen that how to deal with these equal to and greater than equal to constants as well. Mm, So we have seen the use of BEGIN method, where we penalize the objective function for introducing artificial variables, and these artificial variables actually act as slacks in those constraints, right? So we first construct an artificial problem, right, using these additional artificial variables, and um, then we start solving it by simplex. So in this process, what happens? When you enter the BFS of the real problem, then all these artificial variables are thrown out of the base. That means they become non-basic, which means that their values become zero. So then the z, the objective function, functional value gets rid of m, begin, right? So it is quite a mechanical process. So you have to just see that when you are entering the feasible region of the real problem, right? And then you can drop the columns corresponding to the artificial variables, because they will not be needed anymore, right? But even if you keep them, it won't cause you any trouble. They will never enter the base again, because their values are now optimally set to 0. So they will never enter the base again. So if they enter the base, then unnecessarily the z value will increase, right? Will decrease. So for a maximization problem, it will never happen. So they will never enter the base again. It's সই করতে হবে না এই কথা না ওগুলো আপনার বিল গেছে এখানে সই করতে হবে ঠিক আছে so then we have discussed this two-phase method, where we actually divide this entire process into two phases. In the first phase, we try to find an initial BFS for the real problem, and in the second phase we solve the real problem using this BFS as the seed, right? Now for the phase 1 problem, we have set the objective function as minimization of the sum of the artificial variables, and this is true for any type of optimization problem, be it minimization or maximization type, right? So here in this case we have minimization type problem, right? So it could be maximization as well, in your real problem, but even there also in phase 1 it will always be minimization, because irrespective of whether it is maximization or minimization problem, right, you want to drive the artificial variables to 0. So phase 1 objective will always be minimization of the sum of the artificial variables, fine. So you were supposed to solve it on your own and show me your solution, whether you are whether you are getting the same solution and the path of the simplex method. Have you done it?
I did it, sir.
Okay. So what you have got? Like if I go back to the graph, say. So first point. So when you solve the phase 1, what is the first table of phase 1?
In phase 1, I'll get x1 6, x2 6, x3 0.3, and rest of them 0.
So you are basically getting this. It is phase 1 that you are talking about, the last table, right, of phase 1.
Yeah, last step.
Okay. First you will start with this origin, right, 0 0.
Yeah.
And then you will go to 9 0, right? Fine. Next table will represent 9 0, and then the next table will be.
Yeah, next we'll go to 9 0, then 8, then 6.
Then 8 3, right?
Yeah. 8
now
3,
from
then
8 3, yeah. So now from 8.3, if you recall, the begin method, we had moved to 7.5, 4.5, right? In begin method. But here
Yeah.
in two-phase method, what we are getting from 8.3, we are going to 6.6.
Yeah.
Okay, and there you see that all artificial variables are 0 and their objective value is also 0, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then you know you have got the initial BFS of the real problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that itself will be the optimal solution when we
Why?
start phase 2. Because
No, that will
I
not be the optimal solution.
that should be right.
No. See, begin method, what was the optimal solution? In begin method?
Okay, 7.545. Okay,
Ah.
I think I have to proceed one more step. Okay, I have to one more step I have to.
Yeah. So this is the phase one, first table of phase one, and then you do these, simplex steps, you get this next table, which is 90, right? And then again, you come here at 8.3. Now in 8.3, you see an important thing, here you see these, when you try to choose the entering basic variable, you have two choices, right? Either x3 or x5, because both of them have the coefficient minus 5 by 3, isn't it? So there is a tie in the choice of entering basic variable. Fine. So which one did you choose? Suppose if I choose x3 to enter, I'll get this solution, which is 6.6, which you have got. Fine.
Yes, sir.
So x3 had entered the base, and which one had left? X4 had left, right? This is the artificial variable x4 had left. Okay. So suppose if you would have chosen x5 as the entering one, then which solution I would have got? Suppose x5 if it would have entered, and then the same similarly x4 would leave, right? Then which solution I would have got? Anybody? Can you compute and tell me? Suppose instead of x3 here in this iteration, you have chosen x5 to enter the base. Then what will be the phase 1
7.5, 4.5.
7 point. So what is happening here? You see here in your two-phase method in this graph, so you are currently at 8.3, right? So with one choice of entering basic variable, you are getting this 0.66. With another, you are getting 7.5, 4.5, right? But we don't know which one would lead us to the optimal solution faster, right? So we have to break this tie arbitrarily. So in this case, it happens that if you choose the one, then you are getting 6.6, and then you have to perform another iteration in phase 2 to get the optimal solution. But if you would have chosen otherwise, you would have directly got this 7.5, 4.5. So in phase 2, you would not need to perform any more iteration, right? Am I clear? So
Yes.
in this case, this is the thing, and here also you see a very important thing. See, suppose I have chosen x3 to enter, and now this is the result. So here phase 1 has ended. Why it has ended? Because the objective row is all
Sir?
0 or positive.
Sir?
Sorry. Yeah. Tell me.
Sir, I just checked 6,6 itself is optimal. If you substitute the values 6,6 and 7.5, 4.5, for 6.6 you'll get Z value 5.4. And for 7.5, 4.5 you'll get Z value 5.25.
And for 6.6, what is the value you are getting?
5.4.
So you are trying
Okay,
to
we are
minimize.
minimizing. Sorry.
Yeah.
I considered maximizing. Yeah. For minimizing, answer is correct. Yeah. I took maximize and I wrote. Okay. Fine.
Okay. So So another important thing here, you see, observe, when you get this solution, so this is optimal for phase 1, right? So here also you see that for phase 1, there exist multiple optimal solutions. So there is another solution which is equally optimal for phase 1. That means whose objective value will be 0. And what is that point? We know 7.58, this 4.5, right? So even if we would have moved to that point, I would have got the same optimal value, z equal to 0, right? And this is clear. How do you detect these multiple optimal solutions for phase 1? So you have ended here, right? Now, how do you detect whether there is another solution or many other solutions which are equally optimal? How do you detect that?
One or a non-basic variable has coefficient 0.
So here, what is that variable?
x5.
x5. So x5 is non-basic, but its coefficient is 0, which means that there exists another solution which is equally optimal. So if you, even if you enter x5 here, okay, you'll get another solution, but objective value will remain the same. Fine. And this is so by observing this, you declare that there exist multiple optimal solutions. Okay. Now, in phase 2, what do? You take this table as the initial table for phase 2, but you have to change the objective, because here you have to consider the real objective function, which is 0.4 x1 plus 0.5 x2, right? So I have written this. Now I have to do a slight modification in this objective row. Why? Because I know that I have to express the objective row only in terms of non-basic variables. So here, what are non-basic? x4 and x5, right? Sorry, only x5, because x4 and x6 were artificial, so they are gone, right? We don't report them anymore. So only x5 is non-basic. So I have to do some Gaussian elimination operation to make the objective function, express the objective function only in terms of x5. And this is what is done here, right? So I have to make this 0.40 and 0.50. And this is what we get. So this is actually, the second table is actually my initial table for simplex. This is the seat, right? And then you perform normally the simplex operations, and you will get in the next step, you will get the optimal solution. So one thing you have to be very careful, that when you are transiting from phase 1 to phase 2, then you have to change the objective function, because in phase 1 the objective function was different, right? And when you change the objective function, you have to make sure that this is expressed only in terms of non-basic variables, right? Any
Sir,
question? Yeah.
Once can you go to the previous slide?
Previous
slide. Yeah. Yeah. So when we are say a non-basic, sorry, basic variable, which is artificial variable, is where it's leaving, then from the table can we drop its column, because anyhow it won't be of any use, right?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Okay. Any other question? Everyone is doing or not? Okay. Mayank, Soni? Mayank?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You have done this?
No, sir. I tried, but I couldn't get the answer.
Why?
So because I was just a bit confused about from which one to leave and which one to enter. I was getting confused.
So
I will
which
have to
one
revise it
to
again.
enter? First you choose which one to enter, right?
Yes, sir.
So how do you choose that? What is the rule?
So, sir, we make the non-basic 0 and make basic non-zero. I mean, we do it like that, right?
No. So that means you are not properly following up.
So I'll have to again recollect then.
What about Nikhil? Nikhil? हाँ बोलिए हाँ क्लास चल रहा है हाँ हाँ बोलिए अच्छा एक मिनट वो हाँ just 1 minute. Hello. Yes, Pranjal. Pranjal Kaushik. Yugam Tiwari.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So can you tell me how do you choose the entering basic variable?
Sir, we make the basic variables, the dummy variable 0, and then we check the value of the z function, optimal
No,
function.
no.
And
So say I'm showing you this example. Say this is phase 1, right? This one. Are you seeing this or not? So first table, right? This one. So here you tell me that which one will enter the base in the for the first table. Which one will enter? How do you choose that? So first of all, you tell me what are the basic variables and what are the non-basic variables here in this table. First table.
sir, basic variables are x4 and x6, and non-basic are x1, x2, x3, and x5.
Why x3?
Oh,
It is
x3,
clearly written here. It is clearly
x3,
written here basis
3x.
and then x3, x4, x6. It is clearly written. So x3 is basic or non-basic?
Basic.
Basic. Okay. So what is the value of x1 and x2 in this table?
So 1.1 minus 1.1 minus 0.9.
They are the values. Are the values of x1 and x2?
So we are putting those values.
Is it the value of x1 and x2 or coefficients?
Oh, sorry.
So what is the
We are
value of x1 and
calculating
x2?
the value of x1 and x2.
What is the value of x1 and x2?
I don't know.
They are non-basic. So what would be their values?
So we will calculate them from the basic variables, like putting the value of the basic variables and then.
So no, actually you first set x1 and x2 to 0, you make them non-basic and then you calculate the values of the base, that is x3, x4 and x6. It is the other way around actually.
Okay.
Right? Because how many equations you are having? 3. And you are having 6 variables, right?
Yeah.
So you can solve for maximum 3. So you have to set 3 to 0.
Yes, sir. That is x3, x4 and x6.
Those are basic. You are not setting them to 0.
Okay.
Which one you are setting to 0 here?
x1, x2 and x5.
Yeah, x1, x2 and x5, right? So they are non-basic. And what is the value of x3, x4 and x6? The basic variables, what is their values?
Sir, we have 3 equations, so we can calculate after setting the value
No,
of.
from you look at this table. This is the table given to you, right? Simplex table. So
Okay.
I'm asking in this table, what are the values of x3, x4 and x6? Where it is written?
So only their coefficients are mentioned, I guess, in this table. So
Yes.
like, yeah. So.
But what about this right hand side? Right hand side is the right hand side of those equations, right? 2.766.
Yeah.
Can we say that these are actually the values of x3, x4 and x6? Can we say that?
Okay, sir. Like x4, x5, x6 are okay. We can say yes.
How? Why?
X3 is so we can put in those equations and then check. Like basically, what we do is we enter those dummy variables and like when we enter those dummy variables and then set.
No, forget about dummy. Forget about dummy and all. Huh? You just you imagine that all these are variables, right? x1 to x6, and this is a table, right? Now what I am saying that the value of x3 is 2.7, value of x4 is 6, and value of x6 is 6. Why I am saying that?
So because the rest non-basic variables are 0.
0, right?
Yeah.
So when you look at x3, x4 and x6 coefficient columns, you will find identity matrix. See, 1 0 0 0 1 0 and 0 0 1.
Yes, sir.
Which makes it like x3 will be equal to 2.7, because these things will be 0, right? Because their values are 0, x1 and x2 and x5, right?
Yes, sir.
So we maintain this identity matrix for the base, and this is the sole purpose of the simplex method. As you move from one iteration to another, you try to maintain, you restore this identity matrix in the base so that RHS gives you directly the solution of the basic variables, right?
Okay, sir.
Any question? Shivangi?
Yes, sir.
You have any question?
No, sir, not till now.
So you have understood everything?
Like, yeah, until yesterday's class I understood, and today is also almost everything I understood.
Okay. So can you tell me this? Okay. So can you tell me that, see, when I complete this phase 1 here, right? We have this table, fine. And then we move to phase 2, where I have this objective, right? This 0.4 x1 plus 0.5 x2. It was originally minimization, so I have put it in maximization. So Z is -1 here, right?
Yes.
Now, why this table is not in proper format?
So because like the coefficients of the basic variable should be 0. So first we need to make x1 and x2 0 because they're not 0 in the first tables.
Okay. How will you make that 0?
Like we'll perform a Gaussian elimination here.
So in this case, how do you perform the Gaussian elimination?
Like
how do you make
the row of x1 into 0.4.
Yes.
Z minus 0.4 into x1 and then Z minus 0.5 into x2.
x2, very good.
Those will be performed separately.
Yes, good. And then you have the table in proper format, right? So this is actually the initial seed of the simplex for phase 2. Okay.
Yes.
So now I'll just try to explain whatever we have done so far. The tabular method for the standard form, and the big M and two-phase method for the non-standard forms. So by now we are able to deal with any type of constraint, be it equal to, greater than equal to, or less than equal to, right? So whatever we have done, we have explained each step and why we are doing that, intuitively, and sometimes or mathematically also. So because we are dealing with this linear system of equations, so we are basically, there is a linear algebra or matrix algebra behind all these things, right? You can easily guess it, right? So now we are trying to explicitly write these matrix algebraic form of simplex, so that you can correlate it with the tabular method. So whatever we are doing in a table, right, you might have observed that given a table, so although currently we are working with very small tables, like only say 5-6 variables and 3-4 constraint rows, right? But this table can become very, very, big for real life problems, right? You can have 100 variables, 1,000 rows, constraints, and all those things. So in that case, you might have observed that in the simplex iteration, you are not actually, you do not need to look at the entire table or change the entire table, right? You have to just, while you are choosing the entering basic variable, you just to look at the non-basic variables only. So you do not need the entire the coefficients for the others, right? Which are anyway 0, right? And then when you are choosing the living basic variable, what do you need? You need only the entering column, the column for the entering variable, right? And the right hand side. Then you will be able to perform minimum ratio test. So in this case also you do not need the entire table, right? And then when you get the new solution by doing Gaussian elimination, you just simply change the entering column into a corresponding identity structure, right? So pivot element would be 1 and remaining will be 0. So by just doing this, you change the right hand side and you get the new solution. So here also you are not interested in the entire table. So what we have observed that the simplex method actually works on the parts, some parts of the table, and often they are very small in size, but overall, for large problems, the table can actually grow very large, right, and unmanageable. So due to this reason, they have developed this revised simplex method, which is nowadays being used by the modern softwares like IBM Simplex, Groby, and then other like Google OR tools, right, and all these things. So this is the revised simplex method is actually being implemented in practice, and this is exactly the same what we are doing in tabular method, but we won't generate the entire table in this case. We will generate the parts of the table as required by the simplex method. So to understand that, you have to first understand how we can represent the simplex table by using matrix form. Okay, matrix algebra, right? So let us see. So in general, I can say that for a standard form, let us again talk about standard form, because once we are able to understand the standard form, then extending it to non-standard forms will be easier, and we have already seen how to do that. So let us say this is a standard form. So this is maximization type objective function subject to ax less than equal to b, x greater than equal to 0, also b greater than equal to 0, right? So this is the standard form. Now as we have seen that for a standard form, for each less than equal to type of constant, we have added one slack variable, right? So let us assume this xs is the set of those slack variables, right? Slack variables. So x is called real variables or original variables, right? Original variables, which are actually present explicitly in the system, and the slack variables are hidden in the system, right? So xs. So now I can write these constant set, after introducing the slack variables as this ai x xs equal to b, and x and xs both, they are greater than equal to 0. So this is nothing but that fast table of simplex, right, where you have all the slacks, they form an identity matrix because you have only one slack for each constraint of less than equal to type, right? So is this clear? Why I am writing ai x xs equal to b and x xs greater than equal to 0? Is this clear or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So this is the augmented form. Okay. Now, so now from this AI, suppose you have 3 constraints, right? So if you have 3 constraints, that means you can solve only for 3 variables. So what will be the size of the base will be 3, right? So if I consider a subset of that size, we call it as a base, right? So essentially this AI, from AI I choose a base B, right? So B is actually a subset of AI, right? And XB is those basic variables corresponding to this B, the columns of B. So those are basic variable, which is a subset of X and XS. Fine. Okay. So for example, in the first table of simplex, we had only slack variables in the base. So in that case, XS will be the XB, right? So those are basic variables, and corresponding to those basic variables, you select the columns of AI in the table. So that will be the B, capital B. Okay. So because non-basic variables are 0, so we can rewrite this equation AI x xs equal to B to BXB equal to B. Can I write this? Because non-basic variables are 0. So I only keep the columns for the basic variables, and XB is the set of basic variables, which is equal to the right hand side, which is small b. Can I write it or not? For a particular base B?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So what will be the solution? XB then B inverse B. So this is the solution. XB is B inverse B. And what will be the objective value? Z. So Z here you see what is written CTX, right? So instead of writing CTX, now because from X and XS I have this subset XB, right? So I can, if I write Z is CBTBXB, so in effect it is the same, right? Because the other variables which are part of X are 0, so they will not contribute to the objective value. So instead of writing CTX, I am writing CBT and XB. That means I am only taking the coefficients of the basic variables only, because non-basic variables are anyway 0, right? And what is XB? We have just calculated B inverse B. So I just replace here. So it becomes CBT B inverse B. Okay. So now I have two results. One is if you choose a base capital B, these basic variables xb, then you have a base capital B which is a part of AI, a subset of AI, right? And then you can show that these xb values will be B inverse B simply. And the objective value Z is CBT. See, T is transpose basically B inverse B. Okay. So these are the two results. Now, where in the tabular simplex method, in the table, the simplex table, these values appear. If you look at the simplex table, where is the value of Z and where is the value of the basic variables? In the
RHS.
RHS, right? So in the RHS, in the RHS of any table, right? I can write for the objective row Z, right? The RHS for any base B would be CBT B inverse B, and for the basic variables B, the values will be B inverse B, right? Clear up to this? So now see, using matrix algebra, we have now formed a general expression that whatever may be your base, your RHS would be CBT B inverse B, and your values of those basic variables will be B inverse B, right? Okay. Now, let us see an example. So here is this example, the same example, same problem, right? Where you have the objective function 3x1 plus 5x2, so C is 3, 5. AI, so I have included these three artificial slack variables x3, x4 and x5, and this is AI, and this is the small b 4, 12, 18. So this is the initial data, fine. So now I want to calculate the solution without doing simplex. I mean, this is simplex only, but without generating the entire table. So suppose I choose a base. So here I have chosen x3, x4, x5, which is the same as the iteration 0, the first iteration. So for this xb, what is the b, capital B, the base? This identity matrix, so because these are the columns for these variables x3, x4, x5, these are the slacks. And in this case, because this is identity, it is equal to B inverse. So here B is equal to B inverse, right? Then what is the solution of xb? This is B inverse B. So B inverse is this identity matrix. So the solution of xb is small b only, right? Which is 4, 12, 18. So 4, 12, 18. This is the same thing we get in the first table of simplex, right? So small b gives you directly the solution 4, 12, 18. Because you have the identity matrix for the slacks, which are the basic variables. And what is Z? Z is CBT B inverse B. Now what is CBT here? CB is the coefficients in the objective function for the basic variables. But we know that in the objective function, what is my objective function? Max Z equal to 3x1 plus 5x2, right? So I can write it plus 5x2 plus 0x3, 0x4 and 0x5, right, for the slacks. So here CBT would be 0, 0, 0 for these basic variables, and 4, 12, 18, which is 0. Z is 0, so it will be the right hand side. And this is exactly what we got from the table, right? Now, suppose I change the base. Now, for the simplex method, you have to decide now that which one will enter the base, which one will leave the base. So we'll come to that point later. But suppose we change the base arbitrarily. Okay. suppose somehow, you know, we have a new base where, say, we are considering this base x3, x2, x5 now. Then for this base, what we want to know, we are interested only in the solution, right? That what is the corresponding BFS, basic feasible solution. So same process. What is the process? So like this, you can change the base. You can take any three combination, right? Or out of these 5 variables, and for each of this combination of base, you can find out the corresponding basic feasible solution. Fine. So in this case, so first is xb is written, so immediately we identify what is capital B. That is what is that part of AI corresponding to these variables, which is written here 100, 022 and 001. But in order to calculate the value, we know we need B inverse. So when you see the solution of xb and the value of z, one thing is very important, which is the inverse of a matrix, right? B inverse. This is very important. So once B is there, so for inverse of a matrix, you first need that matrix B. So once B is there, you observe now that this is not identity, which means that a small b is not your solution anymore, right? It will change. So you have to compute B inverse now. How to compute inverse of a matrix? Suppose this matrix is given, B is given. I want to compute B inverse of it. So how to compute inverse of a matrix? Because I need it, right?
Write an identity
It's
matrix
B
beside it and then use Gauss elimination to make it identity, and obtaining one will get the inverse.
Right. Very good. So what I do, I first write this bi, right? So this b entire it's a bi I write. So bi is 100, 022 and 001, and then I write identity matrix 100, 010 and 001, right? And then I do the Gaussian elimination to make this part the identity matrix, and the remaining that will be generated automatically will be the inverse of that. And this you know from your linear algebra course, right? So I'm not explaining why this is happening, right? And this is based on the fact that B inverse is I, right? So anyway, by doing this, I got this inverse. So this is the inverse, which is written here. Because otherwise, calculating B inverse is actually difficult. Okay. And now you can get an idea that why we were doing Gaussian elimination in the simplex step. We are doing similar thing, right? So once one identity matrix was getting disturbed, so we were trying to make it to identity, right? So we were doing Gaussian elimination. Same thing we are doing here to find the inverse of the matrix, right? And later on we'll show that how this Gaussian elimination simplex conforms the idea of the generating B inverse in the revised simplex method. Okay. But now you see the connection at least, so once this B inverse is obtained, then you can easily determine XB and the value Z also, right? Any question?
No, sir.
Okay. Now you see, only getting the solution will not be sufficient, because in order to getting a solution is okay, then you have to compute all the possible combinations of the base and try to find out minimum or maximum, right, out of that, which is again a cumbersome thing. So what we have learned in the simplest method, that you can actually navigate the solution space, one corner point to another corner point in a certain direction, right? And then if you find that no other adjacent corner point is better than that solution, you can declare it. So there is no need to explore all the bases, that means the entire solution space, right? Because of the convexity of the problem, right? So only getting the solution is not sufficient. You have to also know that how you find the adjacent corner point, that is the adjacent BFS, which means how to choose the entering basic variable and the leaving basic variable. It's very important. In the table, we have already done it. Let us see. Now in the matrix form, in order to do that, we have to first understand that how we can represent the simplex table in the matrix notation. And then the same principle will apply. Okay, so first try to make a general matrix form for the simplex table. Okay. Now, initially what is given to us? This is the initial 1 minus C 0, 0 AI Z X axis equal to 0B. So if I write this Z equal to Cx, right, subject to Ax less than equal to Bx greater than equal to 0. So if I include these x's, AI and x's, so this is what we get initially. So this is the initial representation of the system of the equations. So this is basically a system of equations we are representing in the matrix form. Right? Now, what we want in the simplex table, we want the RHS to give the solution of the basic variables and the value of Z, the objective value. Okay? And we already know what are they. CBB inverse B and B inverse B. So we don't want 0B, because 0B is just one case. For just initial solution it will be 0B. But in general it will be CBB inverse B and B inverse B. Right? So what I do, I want to make this 0B, convert this 0B to this form, this CBB inverse B and B inverse B. In order to do this, I observe that I have to pre-multiply this matrix 0B with this 1. So this is called a pre-multiplying matrix. So if I pre-multiply this, then only I'll get this. So if I multiply with this matrix with 0B in the right hand side, so same thing I have to do in the left hand side, because it's an equation, isn't it? So I have to pre-multiply the left hand side also with this matrix. Let us do that, because I want this in the right hand side. Okay, so if we pre-multiply the left hand side with the same matrix, I get this one. So this is the pre-multiplication and I get this form. What is this? 1 0 CBB inverse A minus C, CBB inverse 0 B inverse A and B inverse. So now what is the entire thing now? This one. So this is what we get. 1 0 CBB inverse A minus C, B inverse A and CBB inverse B inverse Z, X and XS, and then in the right hand side CBB inverse B and B inverse B. So this is the matrix form of the simplex. Now let us try to understand this form. So this is clearly the right hand side, no doubt about it. This is right hand side of the table, right? Then these are the variables, right? Z, X are the original variables, X's are the slack variables, right? Now we have to understand this part very carefully. So what is this? Let us answer, what is this 1 0, this column? So this is the Z column, what we write in the simplex table, na, Z. So this is the Z column, because here you see Z. This is only single one, okay? And this 0 is actually a vector. So it is actually, say, if you have 3 constraints, it will be 0 0 0 like this, a column of zeros. So 0 is a vector, whereas 1 is a scalar. So I'm just writing 0 bar, just to understand that 0 is a vector quantity. Okay. So it's a column. So this column 1, then 0, 0, 0 like this, this is one column corresponding to Z. This objective value, right? Okay. Then next is CB inverse A minus C and B inverse A. These are the columns for X. So in my problem, in my example, there are two original variables, X1 and X2. It was a two-dimensional problem, right? So their columns will be given by these expressions, CB inverse A minus C and B inverse A. And the last column is for XS, that is the slack variables. In our example, X3, X4, X5, 3 slacks were there. So their columns will be generated by this expression, CB inverse and B inverse. Now this first row, this is the Z row. You can correlate it now with the table. So this is the first row, single row is the Z row. So if you compute this CB inverse A minus C, it will be a single quantity, right? Similarly, CB inverse, it will be a single quantity. Okay. And the next is a set of rows actually. This is for basic variables. XB, right? So XB can be many. Say we have 3 basic variables. So there will be 3 rows. And these rows will be given by this 0 vector and then B inverse A and then B inverse. So now you can visualize the simplest table in this form. Okay, that which are the columns corresponding to which variables and which are the rows corresponding to which variables and what is the right hand side. And this is obtained for a particular base capital B. Okay, so if you change capital B, all the values will change. So can you tell me that in this form, what is constant and what is variable? You observe carefully and tell me tomorrow that in this form, you first try to understand this form because this is going to be the key model or key form which will apply later in the following topics in this course. It is very vital, very important to understand this form, right? So you please have a look at it and try to figure out that what is constant here and what is variable. That means from one iteration to another, what is being varied and what is being kept constant. Okay. And already this slide is shared. So you just see this example also, that when you have a particular B, then how you generate B inverse CB and can actually make the simplest table using this form. The importance of the usefulness of this form will be clear once I explain that how it reduces the computational effort or the storage requirements of the simplex method. Okay. So we'll discuss it tomorrow. Any question?
So the syllabus.
Oh, every time I'm not also. See, I have it somewhere, I could not find it in ERP. So, so what I'll do, I'll make the syllabus and I'll share it with you. Okay. By today, I'll do it.
Okay, sir.
But whatever is being taught, you take it as a part of your syllabus. Because
Yes.
there may be something which may not be part of syllabus, still I may teach. There may be something which I may not teach. Okay. But whatever is being taught will be the syllabus,
Yes.
which I'll share with you. Okay.